If I ever come at a standstill, I know the wind will push me back on track. Not exactly word for word, but the point still is there. I like that final line in this episode of Snow White with the red hair. This episode's surprising, a very surprising episode, because it reminds me a lot of Yona. I mean, there was a lot of connections people were making last week with it in the comments. I saw it, and I saw it too, but to see how strong our main female character is, Shirayuki, to be able to hold her own, I'm happy to see that. I'm glad at the end of the day she was able to at the very least hold her own against someone that was assaulting her and probably going to sell her off, even though we found out about the dude. It was just really nice to see how she could hold her own in this series. She doesn't always need help all the time, like 100% of the time, to get her out of tight situations. And that's what this episode went to show, and it reminded me a lot of Akatsuki no Yona when I saw that one specific element in this episode, because Yona is a very strong female character, and I'm starting to think the exact same of Shirayuki. She's being able to hold her own, even though she's just a herbalist. So, let's start at the beginning of the episode. The episode has it to where it starts off, where Shirayuki wants to become a better herbalist. You have it to where she finds out to where she can get, better training at through mountains and different things like that. And you see how she goes on her little journey. She wants to go to the mountain, and that is where majority of the episode takes place at. She goes to a mountain just to figure out how she can learn a lot more before she can become a court herbalist. And I feel like that's going to be one of her main end games of this series, because it seems like she's taking a path that she wants to do. For instance, she's glad she's here. She's finally with someone that accepts her for who she is and doesn't look at her just for her hair. And that's been one of the main themes of the series, which I expected since, the series is called Snow White with the red hair. And now looking at the title name and then thinking about the characters that we have in this series, I'm assuming the prince is Snow White and the red hair is, Shirayuki. Let me explain the reason why I say this. Because in the first episode, which I forgot to mention, you have it to where our main male character, the prince, he eats the apple, he gets poisoned, and it's kind of similar to what happens to Snow White in the fairy tale. And if you think about it, his hair is white, and it kind of symbolizes for him being Snow White. And if you think about the title name, it's called Snow White with the red hair. And you might kind of picture it as two different things. It could be the same thing, but it could also mean two different things. For instance, maybe the prince is the Snow White, and the princess is, the red hair. And I like that, but that's just my entirely different meaning, like how I understand the meaning of the title and what this episode and the last episode is trying to represent. But talking about the beginning once again, her personality, Shirayuki, her personality is very strong-willed. I'm liking her strong-willed personality to be able to stand up for herself and be able to get things done and, come to conclusions without always having someone hold her hand for her, like this episode showcased. I mean, when she was in that tight situation, when she was captured, you had to where she got to see the evil of the world, for instance, how people are always coming after her, and she kind of already realized this, because the first episode goes to show this theme quite a bit. The first episode showed that the prince of the kingdom wanted Shirayuki for her hair, because it was a pretty hair that looked like an apple. And that's once again back to the front of the show, like one of the main common themes that's reoccurring is it has to do with Shirayuki's hair. For instance, her hair is getting her into trouble, and you could see now she might not care for her hair at all if you think about the situations that it's caused her, because the entire reason why she got captured in the first place wasn't just because she's beautiful, but it's also because her hair is so unique and majestic compared to any other thing that normally people see, that they instantly want to capture her and sell her off as a slave or whatever. So I like this reoccurring theme, and it's kind of how Shirayuki's trying to come to an acceptance of understanding that she needs to live with her hair and also be around people that don't just look at her for her hair. For instance, the prince. Now, one thing I will point out, though, is, like, when she was running away and stuff, like, that's what really impressed me. When she was running away in the castle and she was figuring out where she can go, like, she looked upstairs, she's like, okay, he was up here for some reason. That would mean that he didn't want me to come up here. I'm like, okay, so right then and there, our female character is very intelligent. To be able to do something like that and think of a plan that most likely doesn't want her to go up there because there is an escape route, I'm like, dude, she's smart. She's very smart to be able to do that. She gets out, and the way she does, the tree branch and stuff and tries to get out, very admirable. I really like her character the way she did that. I can't get over how good of a character she is. She's really impressed me with these 2 episodes that allow me to get attached to her as a character, because usually it takes a little bit for me to connect with a character depending on the situation, and that's kind of why I like, these type of series, romance, slow pace, slice life, or even fantasy, or whatever, medieval. I just like these type of series because it can really get you connected with a character. You can relate or whatever, just, have a nice good bond with them, and that's what the episode was. And to see how in the end, even though she needed to be saved, she still held her own, and the prince came in and saved her, it showcased one thing that I was really happy to see. It got to show that no matter where Shirayuki goes, she's going to be hunted down. She's going to be hunted down by people that want her hair. That is just humanity. They always want something they don't have. That's humans. That's how it is. Everybody has something that they don't have and they want from others, and Shirayuki has her beautiful apple-colored hair. And no matter where she is, even if she's with the prince, there will always be people coming after her. And that's what we really need to grasp out of this episode and what she got as a character. And it seems like the prince realizes that when he's contemplating on the bridge, when he's sitting there on the bridge thinking, and he's mad at himself. Like, he was mad at Shirayuki at first, but then he was mad at himself. Is because he came to the realization that the obvious hints were there. People are after her for her rare hair, and he needs to be able to watch over her for she doesn't get captured or sold off as a slave. And there was also, some character development and characterization for him in that one specific moment. So we're already getting character development in just 2 episodes. Very impressive start so far. So, overall episode of Snow White with the Red Hair, definitely a series I am enjoying a lot from this season. Definitely one of the series I'm looking forward to the most. Really, it is. It's definitely replacing my Yamada from last season and, Akatsuki no Yona, my lack of Akatsuki no Yona. This is definitely my replacement because it's a really good series. And if you've yet to start it and this is your first video of you seeing me talk about it, go give it a shot if you like some romance series. So tell me your thoughts. How do you feel about everything? You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.